Porha. So, nagbabalik ang podcast, Conversations on Philippine History, Politics, and Society. We are your hosts. I am Vecal Porha.
I am Lee Candelaria.
And I am Joselito Ebro. And welcome sa isa na namang episode ng ating series na Bagay-Bagay, Objects of Philippine Life. At ang interesting ng ating topic ngayon, especially yung napili nating topic for today.
Yes. Especially because our last episode, we talked about comics, no? So, similarly, yung object natin today ay hand-drawn din. But right now, as in, at this very moment, it sits in a climate-controlled vault at Indiana University, 14,000 kilometers away from Manila. It's a 612-page manuscript with 75 colored illustrations showing our ancestors exactly as they looked in 1590.
So, imagine nyo, Chinese artists painting Visayan warriors covered head to toe in tattoos, Tagalog nobles draped in gold jewelry, and Sangley merchants trading silk in the streets of Intramuros. All of this captured just 19 years after the Spanish founded Manila as the capital of the colony.
At ito nga ay ang Boxer Codex. Na kung tutuusin yung manuscript na ito, ang dami na niyang pinagdaanan. It survived a Nazi bomb in London. It traveled through 3 different countries or 3 continents. And now it served as the most detailed visual record we have of what Filipinos looked like before colonialism completely transformed our culture.
Ang profound ito, no, for us, no, Filipinos, na talaga namang inagawan ng kolonyalismo, ng konkretong larawan, ng kung ano tayo bago tayo masakop. Which I think all the more makes the Boxer Codex such a wondrous artifact of our national identity. We're talking about a document that shows everyone wearing gold, even the enslaved people, women spiritual leaders holding more power than Spanish priests, and Manila already functioning as the world's first truly global city.
Yes, so today we're exploring how a collaborative project between Spanish colonizers, Chinese artists, and Filipino informants accidentally preserved exactly what colonialism was trying to erase.
The year is 1590. Manila has been under Spanish control for less than 2 decades. The then Governor General Gomez Perez Dasmariñas sits in his office in Intramuros, and he was surrounded by a city he barely understands.
At may problema itong si Dasmariñas that time. Kasi sabi ng Spanish Crown, report ka nga tungkol sa mga bagong isla natin dyan. Pero sa sobrang daming isla at daming ethnic groups, paano mo nga naman mailarawan lahat yan? No? Paano mo mapapakita at marireport? Dagdag pa na lahat na ito ay foreign kay Dasmariñas. Sigurado ako siya mismo. Hindi niya ma-distinguish yung different groups. So how do you explain social hierarchies that look nothing like European feudalism?
Yes, so ang ginawa ni Dasmariñas, he commissioned something unprecedented at the time. So he brought together Spanish administrators, probably led by Antonio de Morga, who would later write the Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. Nasikat kasi, inantik ni Rizal, di ba? Yeah. So they hired Chinese artists from the Parayan district, yung district ng mga Chino, na mga Christian converts who, you know, understood both Spanish requirements and Asian artistic traditions.
And the materials alone, no, would tell you that at the time it was really expensive kasi it used Chinese rice paper throughout the 612 pages. So it's not a local type of paper, no. It's imported Chinese rice paper. Yung inks na ginamit include azurite and cinnabar. These are premium pigments that had to be shipped from China.
Ang galing kasi they're using Chinese materials, Chinese artists, but documenting the ethnic groups of the islands.
Tama, ano. So, sobrang interesting yan actually. In terms of its physical creation. Kasi, I mean, on the one hand, it already embodied the cultural mixing happening in Manila at the time. And on the other hand, yung mga larawan sa Boxer Codex, ang ipinapakita nun actually ay Sangley perspective.
Yeah.
'Di ba? So, paano titingnan ng mga Chinese na kung tutuusin ay walang kapangyarihan sa lipunan ng mga nung panahon na yon, yung colonial society. At makikita yan dun sa artistic style talaga. Halimbawa, flattened perspective, tapos yung the way water was depicted was, with stylized waves. Merong mga decorative borders with green vines, blue flowers na kapareho ng mga nasa Chinese sources.
Yeah, so very Chinese tradition yung style nung drawing, no? But come to think of it, it was the Spanish who were providing the structure, no, and the questions. No? What are these people called? How do they dress? What's their social hierarchy? Right? But it's the Chinese artists that are interpreting what they see, no, through their own cultural lens. And somewhere in this process, Filipino informants are explaining their own cultures, probably in rudimentary mix of the island's languages with Spanish and Hokkien.
So the manuscript starts with this 15 detailed illustrations of Philippine ethnic groups. Tagalogs, Visayans, Zambals, Cagayanes, Negritos. So bawat grupo may isang lalaki at isang babae na minsan may mga anak at may mga servants na kasama. Lahat nakasuot yan ng traditional nilang kasuotan.
Pero very fascinating kasi yung artist, hindi lang yung mismong damit yung dinocument niya. Kasi yung mga kulay na ginamit daw ay may mga iba't ibang meaning. So kapag pula, red clothing meant royalty, blue, nobility, tapos yung dami at yung placement ng mga gold jewelry, it meant different things, signal different, position in society at that time. So, hindi lang siya random, may mga visual arguments about social order na ipinapakita.
Yeah. And of course, may text portions din, written in simplified processal script with italic humanist influences, describing the customs, the beliefs, the governance structures. But we must remember that ang dinidepict dito ay 1590 to 1591. So the Spanish have been here less than 20 years. That might seem like a long time, but in reality, they're still really trying to figure out basic categories.
And then something strange happens. No? After completing detailed sections on Filipinos, Chinese, Japanese, and other Asian peoples, the project just stopped. The manuscript has like 197 blank pages.
Yes, like completely blank. Premium Chinese rice paper na nakabound, prepared na walang hindi nagamit.
Yeah. And recent scholarship suggests that the project was abandoned when Governor Dasmariñas was murdered by Chinese rowers in 1593. So imagine that context, no? You're creating this document about Chinese merchants being essential to Manila's economy, and then your patron gets killed by Chinese oarsmen during an expedition.
So the manuscript gets bundled up, unbound, just loose pages. Hernando de los Rios Coronel, the Procurator General of the Philippines, carried these pages to Spain in 1605. And he probably presented them to King Philip III's court as evidence of the complexity of governing these new territories.
Yes, so the Spanish bound the book kumbaga in Madrid sometime after 1614. At iyan, alam natin yan kasi the binding included filler paper from a 1614 publication. So sheep leather binding with elaborate tooling typical of Iberian workshops. So no way this was found in the Philippines, sabi nila, kasi we didn't have sheep here. We didn't have sheep leather here.
Yeah. So within the 25 years of its creation, this manuscript documenting Filipino life had already left the Philippines forever.
So pagkatapos dumating sa Spain, nawala na lang bigla itong Boxer Codex, halos 300 years din yun. Hindi natin alam kung paano ito nakalabas ng Spain, pero nung early 20th century, nakatago ito sa library ni Giles Fox Strangways, the Earl of Ulster, sa Holland House in London.
And then on September 27, 1940, the London Blitz happened. Siyempre, World War II nung mga panahon na to. And ito yung when German bombers were targeting the British capital every night. And the Holland House actually took a direct hit from an incendiary bomb.
And the mansion burns, no? So priceless paintings, first editions, historical documents, all reduced to ash. But somehow, miraculously, the Boxer Codex survives. Baka nasa ibang wing ito, no? Or baka nakasurvive lang talaga siya. Maybe it was thrown clear by the blast, we don't know. But when they sift through the rubble, there it is. That's when they found it.
Galing lang kasi this manuscript about Philippine history survives the Spanish colonial period, an unknown journey to England, and then Nazi bombing. Parang may gusto talagang patunayan may destiny itong material na ito.
Tama, no? Parang may mission pa siya.
Oo.
And then in 1947, Lord Ilchester needed money to rebuild. So yung what survived of his collection was auctioned. And the auction catalog completely misidentified the manuscript. They listed it as an 18th century document, which is actually, off by like 200 years.
Yeah, so ganyan kalaki yung hindi alam ng West, no,
Gulat sila,
about these about manuscripts like this or depictions of people in the Far East, no. At dito papasok si Charles Ralph Boxer. So surprise, ito yung reason kung ba't siya Boxer Codex, no. Si Charles Ralph Boxer, isa siyang British military intelligence officer turned into a historian, and he was at the auction. He saw this manuscript. He immediately recognizes what others have missed. Hindi lang ito 18th century colonial report, no? It actually mas matanda ito. Much more significant.
At yun nga, nabili niyo for 70 pounds. And today, mga 3,000 pounds yun. At considering inflation, mga 200,000 pesos yan sa kasalukuyan. For the most detailed visual record of pre-colonial Filipino life, sulit yun, no?
Oo, okay na 200,000, di ba? May mga bumibili ng bag na mas mahal doon.
Tama.
Di ba?
Yes.
So Boxer published about this manuscript in the 1950 issue of the Journal of the Royal Asiatic Society. So for the first time ever in 1950, scholars realized that this manuscript actually exists. So nagsimula na siyang mag-circulate, among academic circles. Pero 'di ba, isipin natin 1950 yung itong taon na to. So the Philippines had just gained independence in 1946. So noong mga panahon na to, it was a time of nation building and people were trying to figure out their national identity.
Yes, and I mean, whoever reads the Journal of the Royal Asiatic Society, very elite circles lang din naman ito.
Yeah.
So at that time, the Philippines was of course just rising from the ashes of war. Hindi pa makakarating, no, itong news ng manuscript na ito agad-agad sa mga Pilipino, no. And then the manuscript ends up at Indiana University's Lilly Library, where Boxer had connections. And there it sits in a climate-controlled vault while the Philippines goes through the Marcos years, martial law, and people power.
Pero ito yung medyo nakakainis at nakakalungkot na part. Kasi during the 1960s and 70s, when there's a kind of big push by Filipino historians to really understand our history, panoorin yan kung kailan desperately needed ang source to counter colonial narratives. Pero at the same time, in-establish pa lang ang Philippine Studies departments. So this crucial document about our ancestors was just there, sitting in Indiana. So, ang layo. Paano yan?
Yeah.
Tama, So, medyo nakakainis kasi, I mean, the Americans controlled our education system for 50 years at sila yung may access dun sa manuscript, while Filipino scholars didn't even know that the manuscript existed.
Yeah.
So, very ironic.
As it turns out, another American will change everything in the 1980s. Itong si William Henry Scott, na American historian who became a Filipino citizen, and I think we can argue has a kind of a Filipino heart. No, he lived in the Cordilleras. He dedicated his life to Philippine history. He goes to Indiana and he studies the Boxer Codex intensively.
Yes, actually si William Henry Scott sa UST yan nagtapos ng PhD. Dito na yung naging historian, So as a historian, Scott got this, idea of parang reading against the grain, something like that. Pero sa sinulat niya, it's like reading through the cracks in what he called as the parchment
The
curtain.
parchment curtain.
So the Spanish wrote these documents to justify colonization. Pero for Scott, if you read carefully, you can extract evidence of what they were trying to suppress. Diba? So yung mga cracks nga na yun. So his book, Barangay, 16th Century Philippine Culture and Society, came out in 1994. At isa sa mga primary sources na ginamit ni William Henry Scott ay walang iba nga kundi yung Boxer Codex. So for the first time, Filipino students could see detailed evidence that our ancestors had sophisticated societies. That Filipinos at the time weren't primitive groups waiting to be civilized by the Catholic Spaniards, right? And they had complex cultures with their own systems of governance, spirituality, and art.
But yung irony rin dito, no, is that the physical manuscript remains in Indiana. And Filipino scholars who want to see it have to get US visas, fly 14,000 kilometers, and get permission from the library to see it. I mean, especially in this day and age of Trump, who's threatening even the way the United States approaches its history. No, balita ko, pinapa-rethink niya yung the way that US museums puro na lang daw slavery yung pinapakita, ganyan. Bakit daw hindi ipakita yung grandness ng US history? So, I don't know, it feels like the colonized is still begging to see evidence of their own history.
Ang layo na nga ng narating natin, no, as a people. Pero yung unequal relationships, nandyan pa rin. Anyway, in 2016, George Brian Souza and Jeffrey Scott Turley published the first complete transcription and translation of the work. They scanned the entire manuscript in high resolution, and Indiana University puts it online.
Yeah, so digital repatriation daw kumbaga, pero parang hindi naman repatriation yung tawag doon, nasa kanila pa rin di ba? Yung physical object. Like, so, well, yun nga, pero at least ngayon, di ba? Kahit sino na may internet, pwede na lang tingnan yung Boxer Codex. And Vibal Foundation published an affordable Filipino edition. So, 426 years after its creation, pwede lang makita ng mga Pilipino yung record ng kanilang heritage.
So, when Filipinos today look at the Boxer Codex, what exactly do they see? No, hindi lang naman kasi ito pictures ng mga taong nakasuot ng mga traditional dress. No, every detail the Chinese artist captured carries meaning that Spanish colonialism would spend centuries trying to erase.
Isa sa mga popular na parts niyan ay yung mga pintados, no, yung Visayan warriors, and their entire body is covered in tattoos. The Spanish called them painted ones, like it was for decoration. But the manuscript reveals the truth. So, kada tattoo dyan had to be earned. Facial tattoos, you need to kill an enemy in battle para magkaroon ka niyan.
Saka yung mismong tattooing technique, di ba? Talagang ipinapakita nito yung technological sophistication. So, halimbawa, red hot brass instrument, hafted needles with small hammers, tapos yung black pigment from peach soot mixed with plant extracts. It's a complex, it's like there's an entire science to it, in the creation of that medium, Tapos yung mga design mismo, geometric patterns, stylized animals, advanced body art kung tutuusin,
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the Spanish banned it all, no? By the 1650s, tattooing was illegal. It's associated with paganism and rebellion. Hanggang ngayon nga, parang meron pa ring stigma about tattooing. But I'm happy that a lot of Filipinos now are more open about tattooing. As in, because it's part of our tradition, no? At least, we could say that for quite some time, the Filipino generally forgot their own traditions, not because it was an active forgetting, no, but it was an imposed forgetting, no. But we have proof, we have pictures to say that this is how we looked like before.
At isa pa sa mga proof na yan, at isang notable sa Boxer Codex ay yung prevalence ng gold jewelries everywhere, sa illustration. Even yung mga Uripon, the enslaved people, they're wearing gold earrings, gold necklaces. And this challenges everything about how we understand pre-colonial social structures.
syempre, no? Sila from the context of European feudalism.
Yan nga.
Diba? Jewelry equals wealth, equals power. Pero sa Pilipinas, gold was ubiquitous. It was abundant. I mean, relatively, So the Philippines sits on major gold deposits. I mean, hindi naman siya sobrang dami katulad ng nasa Americas, Pero meron. At people access it it wasn't that much big of a deal. I mean, ginagamit nga siyang pampaganda ng bahay, 'di ba? Or house ornaments, 'di ba? So, yeah. That's at the same time, social status at the time were marked through colors of clothing and specific styles. So, halimbawa, the way you wrap your pudong or your bahag.
Speaking of bahag, no, yung mga Espanyol, they were scandalized when they saw that. Itong mga loincloths na to, I think extends a few. It's quite long, no? Pero kasi there's a way of wrapping. There's certain patterns used sa mga bahag that indicated region, status, occupation, and for the Spanish, when they saw the bahag, this is nakedness, no? Parang you're showing too much skin. But the manuscript was able to show a sophisticated dress code, no? Na hindi maintindihan ng mga Europeo kasi for them it's just nakedness.
At syempre, yung mga kababaihan, like the Babaylan spiritual leaders, the Spanish texts tried to diminish them, like calling them witches and frauds, showed them in positions of authority. These were powerful women who threatened Spanish patriarchal Catholicism. Galing.
Yeah, so in other words, the manuscript became an evidence of what we somehow lost. And so ngayon, at interesting nga kasi, di ba, even the Americans, during their colonization of the Philippines, they tried to justify it by saying that Filipinos were primitive or, uncivilized. But you can just point them to this manuscript and tell them, excuse me, di ba? Complex textile patterns, sophisticated metallurgy, organized governance systems, and spiritual rituals, di ba? Parang, yeah.
Ang galing, no? It really shows us what we lost, but at the same time, it also shows us what survived. No? Ito yung pinaka hinahanap-hanap natin na connection sa ating past, no? Sa ating pre-colonial past. For example, yung decorative patterns on modern Barong Tagalog, you can see traces of that similar designs in the manuscript, no? Or the way we mix languages, yung code switching between English and Filipino, na for the longest time, sinasabi, mali yan, dapat di ka nagko-code switch. And all. The manuscript actually shows that we mix Chinese, Spanish, and indigenous words, no? In the same manuscript, these were already mixing in 1590 Manila.
Kahit nga yung pagiging authoritative ng kababaihan sa bahay, kahit na centuries tayong tinuruan ng patriarchal colonization, di ba? There's this precedent in these images of powerful female leaders. At kitang-kita yun sa Boxer Codex.
Yeah, and contemporary artists actually use the Boxer Codex for inspiration. So, halimbawa, may mga fashion designers na nag-recreate nung mga color patterns, sa kanilang mga works, and there were also like tattoo artists looking at the tattoo patterns in this manuscript and adapting them for modern Filipino tattoos. So yeah, it's a way of reconnecting with the lost heritage.
I really like that the Boxer Codex in a way becomes a mirror where Filipinos can see themselves before we were distorted by colonialism. It's not perfect, and perhaps we're romanticizing things, no? But it's real, no? It shows how complex, how sophisticated we are, and how we are worthy of respect as a group of people.
So today, the Boxer Codex sits at the center of like huge debates about cultural patrimony and decolonization. Should a document this important to Filipino identity remain in the US?
Yes, and Vibal Foundation actually tried to buy it in 2015. They offered millions of dollars for it. But Indiana University said no. It's not for sale, not for any price. Tapos sabi nila, pinapreserve ka namin ginagawa pa namin accessible digitally. And dito, mas safe to kasi we have, sophisticated climate control. Sa Pilipinas, napaka-humid,
Yeah.
Mahirap tanggapin, pero parang totoo, no?
Yeah.
Baka magunting uli eh. Parang Spolarium.
I mean, yeah, it's the same colonial argument on the one hand, no? We're protecting you from yourselves, no? You can't be trusted with your own heritage. Yeah.
Pero may isa pang perspective dyan kasi the National Museum in Manila has had issues with preservation. Hindi ko sure kung nakita nyo, a few weeks ago, sa social media lang ito, no? Binaha ata yung National Museum. So, sa lala ng corruption with public works, sa flood control projects at climate change, napakadali itong mga important documents na masira during typhoons, floods, and even humidity. So, perhaps, mas makakatulong pa talaga na digital access na lang yung meron tayo at manatili yun sa Indiana.
Di ko lang kasi, halimbawa yung archives naman ng UST, maganda di ba?
Yeah.
Kumbaga, kaya naman di ba? Kaya naman ng mga Philippine Archives na mag-ingat ng ganitong kahalagang dokumento. Mas yung mga mas matandang libro na Doktrina Kristiyana, di ba? Nasa UST. Pero I think maganda na universities and museums and libraries are making efforts to digitize important manuscripts and artworks. Halimbawa, the 2021 Mapping Philippine Material Culture Project took a different approach. They're using AI and machine learning to analyze manuscripts, illustrations, and through that extract data about textile patterns, jewelry design, architectural elements. So making the document arguably more academically productive, even while physically distant.
Yeah. So that's all about accessibility. But actually, there's also a controversy about interpretation naman. The manuscript was created by colonizers to understand and control, no? Can we really trust its depictions? When a Chinese artist working for Spanish administrators draws Filipino warriors, kaninong perspective yung nakikita natin? No? So that's it for the Boxer Codex. Next week, we're scaling down from this grand historical documents we've been talking about to something much humbler but equally revealing about Filipino identity. So ang clue natin dito sa next episode natin, it's something that every Filipino knows intimately but might have never really considered it as a historical artifact. It's a place where colonial economics, community survival, and midnight cravings all intersect.
For now, follow us on our social media pages. Check out our website, podcast.org, for more content.
Yes, and kung may mga na-miss kayong episode ng mga nakaraang linggo, pwede nyo ring balikan. So maraming salamat sa pakinig. Ingat palagi, and as always, have a good day.